So there's a lot of plagiarism happening on YouTube right now, including multiple channels with millions of subscribers accusing the other ones of stealing from them. But then you also have enormous channels who are stealing from much smaller creators and just seemingly getting away with it. And there's even one story of plagiarism that happened like 8 years ago, and seemingly nobody noticed but me, so I guess it's time for me to talk about it. But what you'll see is that some of these accusations seem legitimate, while others are so laughably bad that the internet had no choice but to defend the so-called plagiarizer. In fact, let's start right there because it's recent and it's sort of the catalyst of a lot more of these stories coming out. Also, a lot of stuff has happened since I initially recorded this video, so you're gonna see a little bit of me, future Scott, pop up throughout, just to give you some updates and some additional thoughts that I have on all these situations. But if you hadn't heard, the big YouTuber iilluminaughtii recently accused the other big YouTuber and actual lawyer, LegalEagle, of stealing some of her video editor's style for some of his videos. Now, full disclosure, I am friendly with the bird lawyer. He was in one of my videos a couple years ago, and we're both a part of Standard and Nebula, but we haven't spoken to each other in years, and no one at Standard even knows that I'm making this video. However, this video is sponsored by Nebula, which is terrible timing, I admit, but I gotta pay these bills. Besides, like, literally everyone agrees that there is no basis for this accusation of plagiarism. It's extremely baloney to the point where the initial tweets made by iilluminaughtii were deleted. Now, I'm not a drama channel, and this video is not a drama video in any capacity. I mostly just want to talk about the idea of plagiarism in this creative YouTube space as someone who's been making videos for a long time and has made a lot of videos about just like art in general and the creative process that goes into making these videos. In fact, some of my earliest videos were After Effects tutorials because we don't gatekeep editing around here, all right? So the two examples that Blair showcases as evidence, by the way, Blair is iilluminaughtii's like government name, I guess. I don't want to say Illuminati too many times because YouTube is real itchy about that subject. So yeah, the examples that Blair cites as evidence that LegalEagle's editors are stealing stuff from her editors are these, like a stock torn paper image and this highlighting text with a 3D camera sort of effect. Even if you are not someone who edits videos, you know that you've seen these a million times before. These are so basic. Like, outside of YouTube, I feel like the news has used these effects for the past 2 to 3 decades at least. Like, literally on my hard drive right now, I have dozens of paper effects and a highlighter plugin because I'm a digital hoarder. My hard drive is screaming for help. I mean, plus they're stylistic choices that make sense for both of these channels, right? Blair does a lot of deep dives into scammy companies and crimes and lawsuits, and LegalEagle does a lot of deep dives into scammy companies and crimes and lawsuits. So they're similar is what I'm saying. And I said this on Twitter at the time, and I'll repeat it here. I guarantee you every single editor who has used either of these two effects uses a completely different technique to do it. In fact, I'm tempted to go back to my roots and show you how I do it. You know what? Let's do it. Let's go for it. Hello and welcome to another episode of Behind the Frame, the YouTube series that hasn't posted a new video in about 9 years, maybe. Today we're going to show you how to make this highlighter effect right here in After Effects. It's actually incredibly easy. So as you can see, I took a screenshot of a Marvel Wiki fan site about the creation of Spider-Man's web shooters. It's going to come up later. I'm foreshadowing. So let's say I wanted to highlight one of these sentences right here. I would grab the pen tool, make sure I'm not clicked on any layer at all. We're basically just gonna make a brand new shape. Click here, make the adjustments you want. That actually looks pretty good. We're just gonna make sure that it's a yellow color and it fills up the text. Click off, we're gonna make a second one, holding shift to make sure everything is straight, and a third one right here. Then what I would do is make sure these are set to some sort of blending mode, like maybe multiply usually. No, it's a little wonky. The purple background's throwing me off a little bit, but we're gonna do soft light here. That looks okay. Here's the important part. I'm going to take the scale of all of these layers and unlink them from the X and Y values because we're just going to only need to animate one of them. We're also going to use a plugin that will reposition the anchor point. There's a million of these. You can look them up. They're usually free. With all the layers selected, we're going to reposition the anchor point to be on the left middle side of each layer. Now, since we've unlinked the scale X and Y value, if we take the X value and bring it down, you'll see that it can grow and shrink without adjusting the height of it at all. So now with everything at 100%, we go to about about maybe frame 15, do a keyframe, go back here and just type in 0, and you can see they all animate on, and we'll offset these a little bit so that it looks like boom, 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 like that. Easy ease, why not? Make it a little smoother. And if you want to make it look like a more natural highlighter effect, just add like a roughen edges to it. And look at that, we got a basic little highlighter effect. If you like these sorts of tutorials, join me in the year 2030 when I will finally make another one. And now go back to the other version of me. Gosh, that took a lot out of me. I'm glad I don't do tutorials anymore. By the way, if you use DaVinci Resolve, it's even easier thanks to my buddy Patrick Sterling, who made a highlighter marker preset thing, because we don't gatekeep editing tips. I mean, that's literally what started all this, right? So one of LegalEagle's editors, I guess, reached out to Blair, or one of Blair's editors or something like that, with an email that reads, God, I have to zoom in, it's so small. Hey Blair, I work as an editor for LegalEagle, and I was wondering if there was some After Effects plugin you guys used for things like the intro to the first NFL video where the lighter colors appear to stick out in 3D. We could recreate it, but we figured there was probably a faster method you guys were using. And then they linked to the specific video that Blair made about the NFL, I guess. And then I guess there were some Discord messages on Blair's Discord with the editor from LegalEagle as well, where they asked, am I allowed to post a video essay I made that was inspired by Blair's channel, or is there like no self-promotion? Also, is there any way that I can talk to one of the video editors I edit for LegalEagle? And I wanted to know how they did a specific effect. So again, just asking about this specific effect, and I guess no one got back to them about that. And for some reason, this was labeled as shady behavior. It's not. And again, I'm not a drama channel that's trying to dig up all this dirt on Blair and stuff from her past or anything like that. Truth be told, I was a big fan of Blair. Like, I think last year I binged like her entire channel. I've seen more of her stuff than LegalEagle stuff, I'll be honest. You know, they were good videos to listen to while doing chores, which is also why it's funny to me that she got so up in arms about the visual style of her videos, when I guarantee you there's a large portion of her audience that is not actually physically watching her videos with their eyes. And that's not an insult or anything. I know people do the same thing with my videos. You're probably just listening to me in the background right now. You're not seeing all the cool things that I'm doing with my arms. Plus, Blair's channel is literally available as an audio-only podcast, so she has to know that there's a large portion of her audience that either doesn't watch her videos or like literally can't. By the way, if you look at the Discord message, and this was corroborated as well by LegalEagle, the editor who made this video, who's asking for this effect for a video, it wasn't even one of LegalEagle's videos, right? It was their personal video. They happened to be an editor for LegalEagle, but they were trying to use that effect on their personal video. But for some reason, Blair still wanted to call out LegalEagle by name and being like, your editors are stealing my editor's video style, which, as we discussed, is ridiculous. But even if it wasn't, right? Like, even if this editor was trying to use this effect for a LegalEagle video and not just one of their own personal videos, like, who cares? Right? No editor owns this particular style. Most people who make very stylized plugins and assets want to give those out either for money or, as I said, a lot of editors just give stuff away for free on YouTube. I was one of them back in the day. Look at me. What? One of my favorite things to do as a creator is to talk shop with other creators and learn how they do stuff, share my knowledge about how I do stuff. And even when I can't talk directly with someone, I still take note of like everything I see, from YouTube videos to documentaries to even just like trends in graphic design. Like, these are all things that I take in and I use in my videos. I look at things that inspire me and I try to recreate them using my own set of knowledge and my own skills that I've acquired over the years of doing video editing. It's just fun, right? It's creatively fulfilling, and I get to try new things, which is great because my ADHD craves novelty. It's nice to be able to feel like you're learning with every new thing that you create, and I feel like that's all that this editor wanted to do. Was they reached out to other editors, or tried to reach out to other editors to ask for advice, for hey, I appreciate this effect that you did. Can you show me how you did that? And this is something that's sort of baffling to me when we look at Blair's official response to all of this. So we're going to talk more about this later, but Blair did publicly apologize to LegalEagle, and in doing so shared a screenshot of a DM that she sent him the day of, I guess right before or around the time she deleted her initial tweets. So Blair's private apology to LegalEagle says that she was quick to protect her editors when they brought this info to her, and she overreacted. And that's weird, right? For a lot of reasons. I have no reason to doubt that Blair's editors did bring this to her attention, but it's weird when they say that she wanted to protect them. I guess that to me implies that the editors felt like they were being attacked, but why? Nothing about the one single email or handful of Discord messages from LegalEagle's editor made it feel, to me at least, like they were attacking or harassing anyone. And if they were harassing someone, then that would probably be the accusation. That would probably be the thing that Blair wanted to draw attention to, was the fact that LegalEagle's editor is harassing my other editors. But that's not what happened, right? Like the accusations, the initial tweets to everything, it was about how one editor was stealing from another editor or several other editors from Blair's team. And so if that's really everything, I don't know how you would feel attacked by that. Now, to be clear, no one used the word attacked in this situation. I'm just pulling that out because Blair says that she wanted to protect her editors. But I guess it's just so weird to me to have this need to be protected when someone is, quote unquote, stealing your editing style. As someone who has made YouTube videos for a third of my life, and I've also been a professional editor for myself and for other YouTubers and just other projects in general, I don't get that mentality, this idea that I need to protect what's mine, what's my editing style. Because to me, my style is all of these other things, all these other bits and pieces from a bunch of different sources that I've seen that I've been like, ooh, I like that, let me take that idea. Ooh, let me like that, let me take that idea. I mean, and that's just art. That's literally how art is. That's all art, from editing to writing to painting. It's all just being inspired by the things that we see around us, the things that came before us, and taking bits and pieces from a lot of different sources. And when you bring that together, that's you, that's your voice. Is that plagiarism? I don't think so. But you know what is plagiarism?
Professor Hugh Fudenberg.
Professor Fudenberg has long been controversial.
A man named Hugh Fudenberg, a former immunologist who has been long controversial.
In 1989, he was caught up in a bizarre lawsuit involving the Food and Drug Administration, which told him he had to stop injecting his autistic child patients with blood products.
In 1989, he was caught up in a bizarre lawsuit with the Food and Drug Administration, which told him he had to stop injecting his autistic patients with blood products.
Then in 1995, he was suspended from practicing medicine and made to pay a $10,000 fine for his misuse and misprescribing of controlled drugs.
Then in 1995, he was suspended from practicing medicine and made to pay a $10,000 fine for his misuse of prescribing controlled drugs.
Yeah. So this was a response to Blair's initial plagiarism accusations made by the internet's lovable and wacky Uncle H-Bomber guy. I cannot believe I, of all people, forgot to add context to this situation. So a couple of years ago, H-Bomb made a fantastic video essay debunking the idea that vaccines cause autism, and at some point down the line, Blair made a similar video. They both pulled heavily from the journalistic work of Brian Deer. This guy. I touch on this a little bit later in this video, but I think it's totally okay if two people make a video about the same subject. But if you watch H-Bomber Guy's video, you will see just how often in it, throughout the whole thing, that he credits Brian Deer for all of his efforts. Blair, on the other hand, as these clips point out, takes the words of Brian Deer verbatim and doesn't really credit him at all. So that's annoying. I would guess that this, plus just the overall backlash to her allegations towards LegalEagle, was the reason why she deleted her initial tweets and has since, I guess, acted like nothing has happened. According to a comment she left on a Reddit post, she did privately apologize to LegalEagle for all this whole situation, but I don't know, it just feels weird to me to publicly make very strong accusations of plagiarism and then only apologize privately while deleting the initial tweets and pretending like nothing happened. Yeah, so like I said earlier, Blair did give a public apology to LegalEagle. I imagine the reason it took so long is because she also wanted to make and post an entire YouTube video about the situation, which she did do, but I'm not going to go through her video point by point. I really just want to highlight this section about H-Bomb's tweet. You remember the actual evidence of plagiarism. In a nutshell, Blair tries to explain that she wasn't actually plagiarizing from that documentary. She tries to make the claim that she was correctly citing everything on screen by having the words in quotes and having a source at the top of the screen. But the problem is the source no. This whole thing just seems really confusing, and honestly, it's like a whole different sphere of YouTube that I don't even feel is my place, really. But you know what is my place, all right? When you come after the nerdy YouTube video essay channels. We're all a part of the same half-dozen Discord servers. We talk. So literally, as I was sitting down to record, well, I guess I'm standing, but as I was going to record this video initially, I had to pause because this started coming across my feed. So this is a video by the YouTube channel CGY that's called Nerdstalgic Stole My Video. What can I do? I'll have it linked below if you want to watch the whole thing. I recommend doing so. But the gist of it is that CGY made a video essay about how District 9's VFX looked so good and why they still hold up today. And then the very popular video essay channel Nerdstalgic sort of stole their video point for point, beat for beat, even coming to the same conclusion that they did. What's interesting is that it looks like Nerdstalgic did take down the District 9 video that they made. Yep, they did. However, this is not the first time this has happened with the YouTube channel Nerdstalgic, and it probably won't be the last if I'm being honest. It turns out it's sort of a subgenre of YouTube content of people showing off how Nerdstalgic stole their videos, and almost every single time the channels that Nerdstalgic is stealing from are much smaller than them. The Nerdstalgic YouTube channel has, let me see, they have almost 1.3 million subscribers. CGY, for example, has, I think, 2,000 subscribers, almost 3,000 subscribers. So, hey, maybe go check out their videos, and if you like them, go subscribe. I like what I've seen so far. And look, I'm not just salty towards Nerdstalgic because their channel comes up a little bit before mine in the YouTube search. That's only part of it. Honestly, Nerdstalgic is a channel that I'm just vaguely familiar with. I think I've seen a couple of their videos, and it turns out we actually follow each other on Twitter. I didn't actually realize that, but uh-oh, what's this? Looks like the last time they tweeted was in April of 2021, saying that, I guess the original person who created the channel Nerdstalgic is now partnered with a team that's going to I guess, do a lot more of the researching and writing and editing. So what I gather from reading this and a couple other things online is that originally the Nerdstalgic YouTube channel was just like one guy, I guess, making the videos. And then after this moment in time, right when this tweet was made, it seems to be the turning point for the channel where I guess they sold the YouTube channel because it was very popular, had a nice catchy name, not as catchy as NerdSync, I'm just saying. And now it's a content farm. If you don't know what a content farm is, it's basically a YouTube channel or network that produces low quality or derivative content. I mean, to be fair, these aren't low quality videos. They're edited very nicely, but again, they're stolen. They're basically stolen from other creators who are much smaller. The goal of these content farms is literally just to generate as much ad revenue as possible. They're just trying to play the algorithm game to the extent of being sometimes questionably ethical. Now, to be fair, I did ask ChatGPT to write that definition of a YouTube content farm because I didn't feel like writing it myself, and I do understand the incredible irony of doing that, especially because this is how people are going to run content farms in the future, if they're not already. I have a whole enormous video that I'm working on about AI art in the comic book space and all this other stuff. So subscribe if you want to hear more about my thoughts about that. It's just, it's a lot. So to be clear, this is plagiarism, right? Legitimately stealing from other creators who are putting in the actual work, whether they're smaller or bigger, it doesn't matter. If a creator is putting in the work to write out a video, to script it, not even to script, it doesn't have to be scripted. If they are putting in the work to make a video with a conclusion, with a through line, with whatever, and you are copying it beat for beat, That is plagiarism, when you are literally taking that idea from someone else, barely changing anything, and then saying, actually, this is my video. And it just hurts here even more, in my opinion, because Nerdstalgic is often taking these ideas from smaller YouTubers, from people who don't necessarily have that strong of a voice to stick up for themselves and to say that this is not right. I am surprised they haven't stolen anything from me, but I haven't gone through their entire catalog yet. And also, it's possible. It does look like there's a video here about why there's a Captain Marvel in the Marvel universe and in the DC universe, which is a video that I made ages ago. I haven't watched this video. It doesn't really matter to me. This is a topic that everyone has made a video on, I feel like. I might have been one of the first, but this is sort of an important distinction that I wanted to make, and it's a reason why I wanted to make this video. I know we're really far into it for me to get to any sort of conclusion at this point, but there is a massive, massive difference between plagiarizing someone's video, like literally taking word for word what they're saying sometimes, or even just the entirety of their conclusion, working from it from start to finish, taking their idea and just pretending that it's your own, versus two people covering the same topic, whether it's by happenstance or whether it is because someone was inspired by someone's video and says, oh, that's an interesting idea. I want my take on it. I want to throw my hat in the ring about this idea. I remember way back in the day, I was accused of plagiarism because the first Ant-Man movie was coming out, and I made a video about the real life history behind that famous like slap that Hank Pym does in the comics. Let's back up a little bit, get some context here.
He said the thing. He said the word context.
My video came out 2 days after another comic book YouTuber made a very similar video. So people accused me of plagiarizing that video, which to me was ridiculous because my videos take way longer than 2 days to make. And also the fact that two people planned the same Ant-Man video for around the time when the first Ant-Man movie came out is just... anyone could have seen that coming. I mean, if we want to be meta about it, I am not the first person to make a YouTube video about this. I'm far from the first person to talk about the whole Illuminati LegalEagle situation. I'm not the first person to talk about the Nerdstalgic thing. Obviously, I even pointed to another video that talked about Nerdstalgic stealing someone's video. But I still wanted to throw my hat in the ring and get this information out there, share my thoughts, share my opinions on the entire situation. Because for a really long time on YouTube, on this channel, I really did feel like if someone covered a subject that I also thought about covering, then that was it. That meant that I could never cover it myself. You know, and apparently I'm not alone here, right? Even Illuminaughtii has a clip of her on a podcast talking about how she doesn't watch anti-MLM stuff because she doesn't want to be influenced by other creators. I don't know. I just feel like that's a mentality that I don't really agree with anymore. I feel like it's totally fine to not only watch other people who cover similar topics, but to also cover the topics yourself. If you have your own voice, if you have your own spin that you want to put on something, do it. I was listening to Sunday in the Park with George Sondheim, genius, obviously. It's a whole story about being an artist and the struggles that come along with that. And something that really stood out to me is this idea of feeling like you need to be wholly original every single time that you create something, when most of the time you just creating it, being you, is unique enough that it has its own spin on it. It is original enough, you know? It doesn't have to be wholly new. It's new because you're doing it.
I've nothing to say.
You have many things.
Well, nothing that's not been said.
Said by you.
Does that make sense? I don't really, I feel like I'm not explaining it well, but basically I'm just trying to draw a line in the sand, a sort of distinction between literal plagiarism versus this idea of feeling like everything that you create has to be 100% unique to you. There's a middle ground there, right? But okay, I've held back enough. I teased it at the start. I'm gonna break open some 8-year-old drama. I wanna talk about a little bit of plagiarism that I saw on YouTube, and apparently it went over everyone else's heads, but I noticed, I was there. I used to be a comic book YouTuber, all right? I used to only talk about comics and superheroes. That was my thing, and I prided myself on the amount of research that I would do for videos, taking in all these different sources from books and articles and quotes and citations and everything like that. I used to say, I'm not one of those people who's just gonna read off a Wikipedia page. But you know who is? Well, let me just go ahead here and pull up that article again about Spider-Man's web shooters. Remember when I teased that earlier? Let me just go ahead and pull that up and, whoa, what's that? What's that noise I hear?
The web shooters are twin devices worn on his wrist beneath the gauntlets of his costume that can shoot thin strands of special web fluid at high pressure. The fluid itself is officially described as being pressurized at 300 psi, but the actual number has been known to change. The spinneret mechanisms in each web shooter are machined from stainless steel, except for the turbine component, which is machined out of a block of Teflon. And the two turbine bearings, which are made of amber and artificial sapphire. The cartridges are mainly nickel-plated and annealed brass. The trigger for the web shooters requires 65 pounds of pressure to trigger it. The switch is situated high on the palm to avoid unwanted fires.
Now look, here's the thing. Eris is obviously a very big comic book YouTube channel. He was one of the first really big ones. I think he was the most popular comic book YouTube channel for a really long time. And as far as I know, I've interacted with him a few times, and I've never had any actual beef with him. I just remember when he made this video almost a decade ago, I, at the time, was also researching something about Spider-Man's web shooters, and it was so funny to me to see him literally reading verbatim off of effectively a Marvel wiki. Look, I start a lot of my video research with a basic Wikipedia search, but I definitely don't end my research there, and I for sure don't just read verbatim off the site.
I'm about to break all that down for you and get all Mythbuster scientific on you. Kind of.
So turns out that I wrote a comment under this video when it first came out, specifically saying that it was pulling from a Marvel wiki. And I even linked to the Marvel wiki. And this is the baffling thing to me. So if you're not aware, when you post an external link in a YouTube comment, it almost certainly would not be publicly posted until the person who uploaded the video approved that comment. It would go into a little box for review, and the author of the YouTube video would have to see the comment left by someone else that has a link in it and say, yes, manually click yes, that is okay for this comment to be shown publicly on my YouTube video. That's like a default setting of YouTube, right? Where they hold comments that contain links. But my comment is public, and I know that because at least one person replied to it. So at some point, Eris saw that comment from me and just said like, yeah, you know what? I'll allow it. Which honestly, if that's the case, if he manually reviewed it and said, yeah, you know what, good call out, Scott, this goes out publicly, that's good move. For sure. Huge respect if that was an intentional decision. Alternatively, he could have just whitelisted my channel at some point in the past so I could post anything on his videos. But I choose to believe the former because it's funny to me. Anyway, I don't know if this was the only time he's done it. I don't know if he still does it. This could be a one-off thing. I don't really know, but it's something that I noticed forever ago and has always stuck in my brain. And again, please don't go bug Eris about this. I don't really care. In fact, don't go harass anybody that I mention in this video, literally anyone. I don't want any of you guys causing any sort of trouble for anyone. But look, even if this wasn't a one-off thing, even if it was a common practice for any YouTuber to just literally read a Wikipedia page nearly word for word and turn it into a video, you could honestly probably make some sort of argument that it's an accessibility thing, that maybe people want to be able to hear something read out loud from someone who's clearly enthusiastic about the topic. So I'm not actually trying to start any drama. Eris didn't steal a video from someone else, as far as I know. Is it a little lazy? Sure. But so is this video that I'm making right now. There's no script to this video. I'm just stream of consciousness talking at you. But I think that's sort of the through line of all these stories, right? Is a hint of laziness, whether it's stealing from a Wikipedia page, stealing from smaller YouTubers because you don't want to do your own research and come to your own conclusions, or stealing portions of entire documentaries whole cloth without any sort of proper crediting. For a lot of these channels that do this sort of thing, you will see that they just want to make as much content as possible. They don't care how. And I can't really judge because I'm also currently trying to do that right now. But what I can promise you is that everything that's coming out of my mouth was created in my brain and not someone else's brain. But I took it, spit it out, signed it like it was mine. And I talked a little bit before about how it's sort of a damaging mindset, in my opinion, to avoid other videos or other creators who make similar content to you. And I want to talk more about that, but that could really be saved for an entirely different video, which is why I made an entire separate video specifically about that subject that you can watch right now on my streaming service Nebula instead of watching this ad for Nebula. That's because Nebula is the place where myself and your other favorite creators are actually allowed to be creative, experiment with different kinds of content, bonus videos that wouldn't really fit on the YouTube algorithm, and everything over on Nebula is ad-free, which means you won't see this ad that I'm doing right now, so you will be safe from seeing this cursed image that I always download to every new computer I buy. Not that I buy computers very often, I just like having this image on my hard drive. It's like my comfort blanket. There are also tons of other exclusive videos on Nebula, including beautifully produced Nebula originals like The Prince by Abigail Thorne. Why is she so good at everything? It's not fair, Abby, all right? Let me be good at something, like finding the appropriate times to show you this image again. Plus, with my link, nebula.tv/NerdSync, you'll also get access to Nebula classes, so you can learn how your favorite creators create. I've said this like 4 times already, but it's becoming like the thesis of this whole video. We don't gatekeep editing tips. If you want to learn how to do something, Nebula's got classes where you can literally see how your favorite creators make their stuff. I'm gonna do one of those classes at some point, which means you'll be free to plagiarize me, I guess. Just kidding, that's not how that works. But the main takeaway of Nebula, as I always say, is that not only do you get all that fantastic content, but you are helping support me directly. When you sign up at nebula.tv/NerdSync, a portion of your subscription goes directly to me and my channel. And again, using that link, my link specifically, in the description. Oh, hi, Sparta. What? Where do you want them to go? Nebula.tv/NerdSync. When you go to that link, you can get a Nebula annual plan for just $30 a year. It's like $2.50 a month. It's ridiculous. Such a good deal for the amount of content that you'll be getting and for how much you'll be helping support me. Once again, that's nebula.tv/NerdSync. The link will be in the description. I've got other normal videos coming, I promise, as my cat tries to clean my head. So stick around for that. And let me know if you like this sort of off-the-cuff stuff. Either way, my name is Scott, reminding you to explore your favorite art through curiosity and vulnerability. See ya.